I'd like to call to order the Village of Ashwaubenon Park and Rec Board for the meeting for Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. Roll call, please.
Chris Thurble.
Here.
Tracy Flukie.
Here.
Ron Mowerman.
Here.
Nancy Matke.
Here.
Dean Hess.
Here.
Donovan Miller.
Here.
Mark Castonian.
Here.
All right, would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you, and please keep in mind our brave men and women that are help keeping us safe here and abroad. All right, action on the agenda.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the action on the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Action on the minutes from March 18th, way back then.
I have a question or clarity if you can help me out. In the, on page 6, in the motion to consider what we wanted to do, under the third dot point there, it says, if an organization chooses to accept the NRNOE participants, village taxpayer funding reimbursements will be withdrawn. However, in-kind services such as field and facility maintenance, utilities, payroll, and insurance will remain in place. In the paragraph down for the motion to recommend to the village board, where it says non-residents and non-open enrolled recipients, the co-sponsor organizations to not receive the direct reimbursement for supplies and or payroll. Are we talking about the same payroll activity in both of those paragraphs, or is that two different?
It's actually two different things, Mark, regarding that. Because with two of the organizations, AYB and then AGSA, part of the money that's given to them, or at least with AYBs, is directly targeted to paying their umpires. So that's because that's money being given to them to pay their umpires, that would be removed. But in the other instance, if we're just doing payroll, like keeping track of what the umpires are owed and things like that, and cutting checks, and then the organizations would pay us back. So they are two different things. So that would be correct, but I see where that could easily be misconstrued.
Also, where it says and or payroll, are they given a choice or both?
Some organizations choose to do payroll on their own, like AGSA, so their full $6,700 and change goes to supply reimbursement. AYB has always said we want part of that to go to supply reimbursement and the other part to help offset our payroll operations.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Did we get a motion and a second on it? No, okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Hey, we have a motion and a second on the action on the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. So comments from the public must be limited to items not on the agenda. Must state name and address, limited to 5 minutes. Board's role is to listen and not discuss the item. Personnel issues cannot be discussed nor individuals named. Board is not able to take action at this meeting. Anybody here for comments not on the agenda? Nobody's here. Nobody on the interweb. Comments from the public? None. We'll move on. 7, acceptance of written reports for communication from Ashwaubenon and Dare and Park Rec and Forestry Department reports. Do we need, this is, seems to me a little bit different than I've seen in the past. So if we want to hear from Rex, do we need to pull that from this item? No.
No, I don't think you need anything formal to have a conversation on the items that are in the report. So if you want to ask questions of items that are specific to the report that was presented, you can do that. If there are no specific questions, then a simple motion to accept and receive the communications and the department report is sufficient for minute purposes.
Okay. There was nothing I had in particular, but it's been a few months, since we heard from, the Park and Rec and Forestry reports. I know there's a lot on there. And Rex, did you want to go over any of the highlights on there?
Is that okay to go over?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, the biggest question would be, obviously, if there was something that's not on the report, you can certainly provide that as kind of an announcement. I would just be careful that there's deliberation then. And, I didn't see you had something about the aquatics program. Can you make sure that you add this to a program? That would be the deliberation that you'd want to avoid, just to maintain compliance with open meeting law. But you can discuss anything that's specific to the report.
Okay.
So you just want me to pick some of the highlights out of there?
Yeah, if you want, I just wanted to kind of open up, because I tell you the truth, I always enjoyed it in the past when we went over it at the end of the meetings, and I wish we still had it, so, yeah.
I tried to make it fun. So, all right, let's see here. Well, obviously, this time of the year, we're getting ready for the summer. So as it says in the aquatic portion of it, our maintenance crews began filling Ashwaubenon Lake. That started last week, Thursday. I'm guessing it may be ready to go tomorrow. And if it's not filled tomorrow, we will shut, because it's been running 24/7 since last week, the hydrant. We fill the lake with a fire hose. Goes into the, and we just spray it in there and close off the gate, and it just fills up, but it takes a full week to fill. So that should be filled, if not tomorrow, then on Thursday, and be ready to go. So then they'll put in the chemicals pretty soon. We'll let the water warm up a little bit, although with the weather today, that's not gonna happen very easily. Also, our park maintenance crews did a great job. Melody ordered the playground equipment that's in Ashwaubenon Lake. If you haven't driven by in the last probably week and a half or so, the new playground equipment is in. The old stuff has been pulled out. That was no longer in any good shape, and the new equipment that we ordered has been installed. We did have to move a sunshade over to the side to accommodate the spacing of the new equipment. I think it looks good. It's got some fun palm trees sticking up above it to give it that beachy Caribbean type feel. So let me know what you think if you get a chance to drive out to Ashwaubenon. We got that going on. When I left the community center probably a little while ago, Melody was just finishing up with some of her staff training. So again, we're getting close to the season opening. For all of our programs, and the staff trainings have started. There was the first lake training was tonight, and then we've got our all-staff training on Thursday night, as well as park maintenance and forestry training on Thursday night. So we're rolling along with that. Forestry, Tim he's got a lot of stuff on his plate right now, doing a lot of the stump grinding. He did clean up I think it's a Dutchman's Creek tributary, Ashwaubenon Creek. It runs between Shady and Balsam, right off of Shady, that creek that goes through there. So we did a lot of ash tree removal this winter, contracted that out, and there was just a lot of debris left in there, sticks, twigs, branches, that we went back in and cleaned all that stuff up. That just finished up about a week or two ago. And then, so basically, they're getting ready and ordering flowers to plant all the park flower beds, so on and so forth. In parks, regarding the Ashwaubenon River Trail, work on that has started. If you go in there, you'll see a lot of silt fence. We probably have from the trailhead. The trail is kind of planned out right now from the trailhead to the southern part of the lake. It stops right now just before it hits the Chief Ashwaubenon Memorial. Peters Concrete is the contractor for that. They'll probably come back next week on Monday and restart that. We've had some unexpected challenges with that. You'd think a trail would be simple, but not so much. Apparently, back in the day, part of that northern part, kind of by the picnic shelter, must have been filled in, must have been very low. So there was a lot more topsoil there than expected, a lot more topsoil, which means we had to dig out a lot more material to hit clay, because you need a hard base to put the stone on, riprap, which means they had to haul more stuff away, and which means we're going to need a lot more inch and a quarter gravel to build that back up, since we excavated so deep. So a couple little challenges that we've got going on that we're working through. But it is coming along, and so, again, that's about a 2-month, we're expecting that to hopefully be only about a 2-month project.
Rex, the black dirt that's there, I know exactly where that came from, so. It's from the big.
I'm guessing it was from part of the hill where
It
it sloped
was,
down.
yeah, it was from the big project when the ball field was put in, we had to excavate quite a bit out of there, and it was low along the river, so we put a lot of that black dirt. So yes, there is
Totally makes
a
sense.
lot of black dirt down there.
Yep, well, not anymore where the trail's gonna be.
Yeah.
Are we swapping out the black dirt for the gravel then? Is that an even trade?
Yep. So we have to go all the way down to the clay, and then we have to build it back up with the gravel, so a little bit more of an expense. The good thing is we're gonna have some extra topsoil available to us, because we're digging out a lot of topsoil. They've hauled some away. We'll keep some actually in the park, and we'll use it for other park projects. So trying to find a silver lining there a little bit. Blue Park on Element Way is supposed to start work in July, working with Rettler on that. Again, David's working, everyone hopefully has seen the Park and Rec brochure, the village brochure that went out.
It's good.
Our senior programs have been extremely robust, starting out again this year, busier than ever, so that's a good thing. We keep on getting high numbers in those and growing numbers. And then oddly in adults, however, we all thought adult softball was like on the downswing. And I think overall it is. We haven't had, however, a men's modified league, hadn't had one in probably 6 or 7 years. And then last year, they started to trickle back in. And then this year, we've got out of the blue 24 teams, which is great to have that sports complex used again for how it was originally built. Because we used to have like 90, almost 100 softball teams way back. But 24 teams is good, but obviously that creates challenges in terms of finding umpires and so on and so forth. So we've got that going on. Questions on anything that's officially listed in the benefits report?
I have a couple. I guess I wanted to thank the Wednesday Walkers for the work that they did, putting the plants in the pots on Oneida Street during the draft. And my question is, why can't we keep those pots there instead of getting rid of them? To beautify our community, or was it just a rental thing, or what was the deal with that?
It was a rental thing. Schrader's has wanted them back. They're already spoken for at other businesses that are renting them from them starting this month and next month.
Yeah. Well, maybe in the future we can do that and leave them out for the benefit of all the residents and everyone that comes to the community, but they did look nice. Bay Park Square, smart to purchase the garbage cans and the benches from them. Obviously, they were refurbishing, and hope they got a good deal on them.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that one out too, as well as some of the other ones. But yeah, I think we procured four garbage cans, steel garbage cans, and 3 steel park benches. All the benches are backless, but they're still nice seating benches. I don't know if you realize how expensive park benches are. That steel, they're probably $1,500 to $2,000 a piece, at a minimum. Even the garbage cans are probably about $900 to $1,000 a piece, because if you build, you need to have that heavy duty stuff out there. Otherwise, they either blow away or they are destroyed by the users at some point, i.e. the kids, by beating on them, pounding on them, that type of fun. So we procured them at a very good price, and we still have to determine where they're going to go, but really all they need is they need a little bit of sanding in some spots where they were bolted onto the ground, or where they were on the ground, and once we'll prime them, we'll touch them back up with black paint, and I think it'll be a really nice pickup for our facilities.
Nice. And the only other question I had was the band shell project. It looks like it's going ahead. Did you guys get the grant, or is all the funding secured for that already?
The funding will get hopefully approved at this coming village board meeting. There was a $50,000 grant that was awarded.
Nice.
Aaron Schutte and Marcus originally had applied for that grant. Aaron has been working with the organization he tidied it up a little bit, and yeah, we got that grant. We're not sure how we're going to use it yet, because there's still, again, this really isn't officially announced, the band shell. It's like out there, but we haven't like done any press releases or anything on it. They're finishing up the designs right now, and then they're going to get costing for it. And whether and how fast it proceeds will depend on the costing. Is it going to come in at where they thought it was? We've got 3 donors that are each donating a fair amount of money for the project. And then that $50,000 grant will help the village out in terms of doing any, because remember, that's still an open spoils site of from back in the day, from in the 70s, 60s, and 70s, and not in even earlier. So that will help, that should offset the cost to the village, that the village committed to in terms of remediating that soil. Whether we burying it somewhere, or making a little hill or mound with it, or putting it underneath something that's, where it can't be gotten to by the general public, that type of thing. And there's also a real good possibility with that grant that it could be used if everything comes in good dollar-wise. It could potentially be used because we're trying to find extra shade because we've lost so many trees. So we're looking at maybe trying to do some kind of shade structures within Cliffstein Park for the folks who come to listen to our concerts, and probably more events if we have a band shell. So yeah, knock on wood. Keep on knocking on wood. But the grant approval should go to village board next Tuesday.
That's great.
Nice. Okay, thanks, Rex.
Yep.
All right, I'll take a motion to accept the written reports.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the written reports. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 8A, introduction of Becky Lamers as our new community center supervisor, senior coordinator.
At this time, I will call Becky up to the front here. She can have a seat, and Becky, why don't you tell the group a little bit about yourself, what you're all about.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm Becky Lamers. I'm excited to join the village, and I've really enjoyed getting to know everyone thus far. Some of you I've gotten to know and walk with, and so I have 3 kids, my husband and I do, and we enjoy hanging out with them, traveling, and spending time with our families. But I'm really excited to be a part of the village, continue to get to know everyone. As Rex mentioned, the senior programs have been very robust, and I'm hoping to continue that and, get to know everyone and understand what are they looking to do and what can we do to continue to build and add more seniors to those programs.
I'd have to say that I had a chance to talk with Becky during one of the senior Ashwaubenon walks.
Yes, we did.
She really impressed me with her. She impressed me with her knowledge and skill set with regards to management, organizational skills, and so forth. And I think she's going to be a very valuable asset to the community.
Well, thank you for that. I enjoyed our walk as well.
Welcome to the village staff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
Applause. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Becky.
All right. 8B, consider, discuss and act on recommendation for naming of the park on Element Way.
Okay, well, this is a long time coming, I guess. We've been internally within the village, been talking about how we want to proceed with the naming. We're holding off on one or two things, but the timing now is right to move forward on what we want to do. So there's two options here that we can go. It doesn't matter to me what the park is named or how we do it. Option number one is we do it internally if we feel we've got a candidate or candidates that are worthy of having a park named after them. And I know there has been a name suggested, Jerome Van Sistine, which you've got some information on that individual tonight. And I would ask, as part of this, if anyone has any other potential nominations that we want to discuss tonight, we can certainly do that, or we can talk about Mr. Van Sistine as well. Option number two, which we've also done in the past, is we open it up to the general public. For instance, when we did Sand Acres Park in about 2008, 2009, we opened it up, the naming, to the general public. Boy, I think we had a lot of nominations, you know, and it was eventually named Sand Acres Park because of the sand pits that were in that area from a local business. That's where they dumped their sand. They were doing castings, and they used sand in the castings, and that's where the sand pits came from. So that was a general public type of naming. But on this one, like I said, you can go either way. Parks in the past have gone both ways. Sometimes we open it up to the general public. If there is a very worthy individual, it can be kept within the internal committees, i.e. Park Board, and then directly to Village Board, who could then discuss it and approve of it, or send it back to us for reconsideration. So at this point, however, we do have a nomination that has been submitted for Jerome Van Sistine. And I know, well, Tracy's the one that nominated Mr. Van Sistine. So Tracy, if it's all right, I will let you kind of, if that's, take the floor, if that's all right, Chris, and you can
Absolutely.
explain your rationale.
Okay. A resident had recommended him. So then I reached out to the family and just to see if they were okay with that, if they thought it was a good idea, a bad idea, whatever the case may be. And the family was honored that someone had mentioned it and felt that it would be a very nice thing to do for their family and for Jerry. Jerry lived on Lyda Lane, which is fairly close to where this park is going to be, and he always was a big supporter of the parks and outdoors. You can see his list of accomplishment. He served both as a town board member many years ago, I think in the 70s maybe, and then when he became a village, later he became a village board member. Like when I was here in 1993, he was on the board at that time and served on the park board for a while. But I just think with him serving that area for so long, his love of the parks and the service that he provided, not only for Ashwaubenon, but for Brown County. He also was a state senator for many years, served the state of Wisconsin. So I just think it's appropriate for him because of his background and what he has all done for not only Ashwaubenon, but the state of Wisconsin, and because he served that area in Ashwaubenon for many years as well.
Okay, so we've got, I guess, two options. My opinion, very worthy candidate, and thank you for Tracy for bringing that up. I would have no problem supporting that, me personally. I like the idea, though, of possibly putting this out to the public and getting other options that, we haven't thought of. But I can support either one. I don't know if anybody, thoughts from everybody else?
Yeah, going out to the public, obviously you would have to have they would need to see the naming criterion then, because there could be a lot of different names from a Packer player to who knows what, so, and the criteria, I think it's very well laid out. We discussed it at a prior meeting too, so I think if we do put it out, the criteria needs to definitely be posted, or we could be wasting time with a lot of suggestions that we'd probably be able to rule out quick, but.
That's the flip side of it.
Yeah.
There's probably gonna be a lot more discussion and beating out, but it is what it is.
Having known Jerry myself and all the stuff that he did for Ashwaubenon as well as the state of Wisconsin, I would have no problem with nominating him for the naming of the park. He's very good candidate for it and fits all the criteria that we've outlined in terms of selection for naming. So he would be my selection.
So is that a motion, Dean?
Yeah, let's call it a motion. I'd like to make a motion to have Jerry Van Stissing named as for the Element Way Park.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to name the park after Mr. Van Sistine.
Now, this has to go to village board for final approval, correct?
Yes, it would go to village board for final approval and discussion.
And just, yeah.
Okay, all in favor, Zach?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Right.
Thank you. The family will be happy, and at least has made this step, and I will get in touch with them and let them know that it's going on to village board with this recommendation.
Yeah, he definitely falls in every box, so I don't.
Pardon?
He definitely falls in every single criterion box that we have, so I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Michelle was.
Tracy, if you've already reached out to the family, I guess at some point regarding the park naming, I'm going to ask probably for clarification on the name. You know, like, is
Yeah,
it
Jerry or
Van
Jerome.
Sistine, or
Yeah.
is it Jerry Van Sistine, or is
Yes.
it Jerome Van Sistine? We'll probably want some specific from the family of what they feel, if this moves forward, on
Yep.
what they feel is most appropriate.
Absolutely, I agree.
All right, thanks again, Tracy.
Yeah,
Taking the
thank
action
you,
on
you
that.
guys.
All right, items for next agenda. Anybody want to?
I did talk with some individuals about the Ashwaubenon Sports Complex and primarily the cricket area that's in the back behind the diamonds. And I know lights is a really big expense, but one thing that they mentioned that might be more cost effective for them is a netting along or some sort of barrier along the cornfield side, because when the cornfield grows up, they stop playing cricket because they cannot find their balls. So that was just something that was brought up by some cricket players. A potential netting of some sort to stop their cricket balls from flying into the cornfield, and lights, which they know is probably less important if they could just stop losing balls in the field. And so I don't know what that means from here, but that was just some feedback I got from cricket players.
Do they indicate what type of netting, how high? Or-
I did ask, and first he said 50 feet, and I said, 50 feet? You hit the ball that far? Well, maybe 20. So I think it would take a little more research. I guess I haven't watched a live cricket match, so I don't really know, but
How about we put that then on a future agenda?
yeah,
I don't know if it even has to be on June's agenda, but
yeah,
a future agenda to talk about. I can look into try and get some pricing,
yeah.
which we can talk about it at an official agenda item. But in terms of netting, if you take a look at, it's not unprecedented for us to put netting up for ball safety. If you take a look at the sports complex, soccer fields, behind each one of the goals, there's two fairly hardy poles that are up there with the netting behind it, so that if a ball gets hit over the goal or on the side of the goal, that the longer netting will stop it, especially from a ball going onto Fernando Drive. So it's not unprecedented, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
Lighting is going to be,
That's a future project.
yeah, it's a future project. You never know what happens, but we can put that, that's a good discussion point for a future agenda.
Yeah. And I can follow up and maybe walk through to see how much netting they're looking for. I don't know where they hit the ball. I don't know much about it. I just happened to have a conversation with a cricket player, and
Cricket field is basically a 360-degree field, so The ball can be hit literally anywhere around the field.
And the other thing that, another wish they would have is painted lines for the actual play area. I think they use flags now, they said, so. But that, again, I don't, that would,
Have them call me.
yeah, no, yeah,
We can talk about it. I mean, if they want painted lines, then there's
costs.
costs
Yeah.
involved, but that's, if they're willing to pay for field marking paint, if they have a tournament or something, we can, again, I don't want to get too deep into
Yep.
this, because it's not on the agenda, but
Yep.
we can, have them call me.
Yep.
And I can give them more information.
I just mentioned that I'd bring it up tonight.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. That's all I have.
I remember when they approached us about putting a field out there, how often, is it used quite a bit?
They use it enough. I work with one of the players, so
Okay.
he uses it.
There's 2 cricket fields in Green Bay, this is one.
Yep.
So this is used mostly for women play and youth play.
Okay.
The adults use a field kind of behind where the Social Security office is on Military. There's a school behind that. The name of it escapes me. Chapel, thank you, Mark.
Yep.
And I believe Chapel has a full-size cricket field where the adult men play. But a lot of the women and the younger age groups play over at the sports complex one. And I'm sure some of the guys, when they don't want to go over to Chapel, I've seen everybody playing on that one.
This is not an agenda item, but I noticed we have a new park board member down there. Maybe she could introduce herself and tell a little bit about herself since she's new on the board.
The new old member.
Yeah.
See, now you were doing so well, and you had to throw old in there. Former.
Yeah.
I am Nancy Matke. I served on the park board for several years a while ago. I live in the village. I'm active in the senior programming. I have infant and toddler grandchildren who are starting to go through the youth programs, and I have always been a strong supporter of our parks and everything we offer. And when there was an opportunity to get involved again, I was fortunate to be able to do it. And it's nice to be back. Thank you.
How many years were you on before, Nancy? I want to say probably.
I don't know, 50, 60? I think it could have been 15.
I might have been
10,
15
15.
years on the park board.
I started with Tracy and I ended with Rex, so.
Poor girl, you. I don't know. Okay.
All
And
right,
I'm happy to be
welcome back. Nancy.
Thank you kindly. I'm happy to be back.
All right, if there's nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
We are adjourned.